If you'd like online business explained to you in a way that you can actually understand, go to latenightim.com/explain. It's completely free, and I made it just for you. Now, how about an episode? Episode 221.
Late Night Internet Marketing.
This week on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, as we move into December, I'm going to tell you exactly how to set and achieve your 2022 goals, the tools I use, the way I think about it, and exactly what I do to get things done in my online business. All this and more on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
The Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
You've been working for somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
And now, broadcasting late at night from a little studio in the big state of Texas, your host, Mark Mason.
Hey, how is everyone doing? I hope you had an amazing week. And for those of you that are in the United States that celebrate the amazing holiday of Thanksgiving, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. And now that we've moved into almost December here, Merry Christmas or Happy Diwali or whatever floats your boat. I hope that this holiday season is really special for you. I hope you get a lot of energy from that as I do, and things are looking great for you during this holiday season. After my first episode in a long time, episode 220, I got some really nice feedback. And one surprising thing that I heard from a listener named Jim, who I was looking back in my records that track these things, that first subscribed to my email newsletter in 2014. He reached out to me to say hi. It was really funny. It made me smile because the first conversation I ever had with Jim back in 2014 was he responded to one of my email newsletter emails to tell me that I had a typo. And I know people that would look at that and they would think, he was very nice about it, by the way. I know people that would look at that and say, oh man, this guy's nitpicking me to death. People, all they want to do is criticize what I'm doing. But I remember very specifically getting that email. And first of all, being so thankful that he had pointed out this pretty egregious typographical error in this long, it was actually an e-course that I was delivering on building an internet business, talking about the exact same things I'm still talking about today. And at that time, e-courses were very popular, and he had signed up to my email newsletter to get this e-course, and he responded that I had a typo. And my reaction was, wow, this guy actually not only read through the entire thing carefully enough to find this typo in the first place, he appreciated the content enough to give me that feedback so I can then in turn make the newsletter better for other people on a go forward basis. That was my reaction, was to take that criticism. It was actually offered very gently, so it wasn't very hard to do this, and see what was good about the criticism. What could I take away from it? And I know that's a fear that a lot of people that work online, that are public facing, they're making YouTube videos, they worry about the criticism. I don't. I enjoy the criticism. I'm very interested to see other people's points of view. And usually even people that are completely unreasonable, they're coming from a place. And I think if you seek first to understand what place those people are coming from, and maybe they've been burned before by some online charlatan guru who took a bunch of their money, whatever. If you seek to understand where they are coming from, it can help you to understand your audience. And usually those people will have a nugget of wisdom that you can take from their sometimes somewhat caustic feedback and get something out of it. For the complete knuckleheads, I just ignore them. But that's a great way to think about, I think, a great way to think about feedback. And I wish we had a little bit more of that, particularly here in the United States, where people, when they're faced with some angry diatribe from someone who is on the far right or the far left, and those people are spewing whatever they're spewing, that people would seek to understand what it is that they're trying to say, seek to understand where they're coming from, and seek to engage those people in some kind of meaningful conversation. You won't always be able to do that because not all people are reasonable. But if we started there, that would be amazing. We can't even get there as a society, even with simple things like sports, much less politics. I just see an increasingly aggressive and nasty conversation going on online. And I really wish that people would take this approach. And so I'm taking a minute to preach to you about that because I think you just never know. Somebody gives you some angry hate at the post office. Maybe their dog died that morning and you just don't know. And I think it's always useful to try and understand that. So thanks, Jim, for bringing all that back. It was great to hear from you, man. And thank you for listening to the show and following what's going on with the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast. One more shout out. I have a buddy who I'm not going to name. It's a friend of mine. He's been fighting COVID, has gotten lots of advanced treatments and stuff. He started to turn the corner. He's really sick, but I know that one of the things that he does to pass the time while he's resting up is listen to podcasts. And I'm pretty sure mine is one of them. So I want to give a shout out to my buddy with COVID. Dude, I hope you're doing well. And I hope I hear from you soon and get an update on your condition so I know what's going on with you. And for those of you that have loved ones that have been affected by COVID, man, I feel for you. And I just hope that things continue to improve in their lives and in your life and everything is better for you.
It's time to get to work building your internet business. One night at a time.
One night at a time.
Okay. So that gets us to the topic for the episode, which is how are we going to set and achieve these goals that we need to achieve in 2022? Look, it's December. I've always said it's a huge mistake to wait until January 3rd or 5th or 12th or whenever it is you get done with your New Year's Eve hangover to get going on your goals. You're going to miss the whole month of January. And that's going to be 8% of the whole year. If I went and tried to take 8% of your bank account, you'd probably pull out a shotgun. There's no way that you're going to want to give anyone 8% of your wealth. Why in the world are you willing to give them 8% of the time that you have available to achieve your 2022 goals? Do not wait until 2022 to figure out what you're going to do in 2022. I want to talk to you about the method that I've been using for the last couple of years successfully to achieve goals and the way to break them down logically and get things done every day. And this comes from a place where one of the big problems that I see people that I work with have is that they have these big goals and dreams, but they're not sure what to do today. Like it's Sunday at 9:40 p.m. and I don't know what I should be working on. I've got these goals. My goal is to build Rome or whatever. I got this giant goal out there and it's way out into the future. So I'm not too worried about it because it's way out into the future. It's a big, audacious, scary goal, but it's far enough away that it's not too scary, but I don't know what to do right now. And so to me, that is the big problem with most goals is that the goal is so far away and is so big. People don't really know what to do to move towards that goal today. And this system that I use, it helps you deal with that. And in all fairness, this is derived, this is not new. There's nothing new under the sun where this kind of things are concerned. And a lot of the things that I've learned over the years from around goal setting and achieving goals are from people like Michael Hyatt, Zig Ziglar, from the getting things done method, from these very famous 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, from these very famous works that are out there that you can read as well to try to understand what the big picture is and what the thinking is. But I've synthesized all that down into something that I find executable and very simple. And it's really just to do this. The first thing you need to do is identify a single goal that you'd like to achieve in 2022. And it's not even really very important that it fits exactly into 2022. You might have a goal that you need to achieve by July of 2022, or you might have a goal that's really going to take you in to 2023. I'm actually working on a goal right now. My main goal for 2022 is really a goal that comes due in April of 2023. That's a 16-month goal, but that's not a problem. Okay. What I want you to do with that goal is to write it down in a very specific way, exactly what that's going to look like when you achieve that goal. That's the very first thing. You need to write this thing down. And I think I'm okay if you even add some images or some pictures. I actually took a course on visualizing goals many years ago. And I really do believe that actually trying to imagine what it's going to be like, what that goal is going to look like, actually helps you form the neural pathways, get your subconscious mind working in a way that you need to find solutions to all the problems that you're going to have in your journey on your way to your goal. And I think it was Stephen Covey who said the first creation of everything that's ever invented, the first invention of everything is always in the mind. You can't build a thing unless you can imagine the thing. So this is a very powerful step. And of course, I want you to write that down, and I want you to do all the things that you've always been taught regarding making this a SMART goal. It needs to be measurable and actionable and realistic and time bound and all of those things. You need a really meaty goal. The goal can't be, I want to lose weight. The goal has to be something like, I want to lose 22 pounds and hit this certain amount of body fat and be able to run a 5K in 22 minutes or whatever by this specific date. It needs to be a very specific goal. Or I want to launch a 6-figure business around an online course that teaches people how to do a certain thing. And I want to have this many people in that course by this date paying this amount. It needs to be a very specific goal. And let's say it is an annual goal. Let's say you're trying to do this in 2022. You want to achieve that goal of building your next business or your next product or whatever it is by December of 2022. What I always tell people is, and this is something that Michael Hyatt teaches, that is too far away. December of 2022, we're not even through December of 2021 yet. And you can say you're going to launch a spaceship in 2022. And that seems so far away. You won't have much urgency around getting that done. You're not going to feel like you need to hurry up to do something that's not due, for lack of a better term, until 2022. And that's a human nature thing around procrastination. And many of us do that. And so the very first thing you need to do is to break this goal for 2022 down into 4 SMART goals, 1 per quarter. And when I say 4 SMART goals, I want you to take the same care in writing down these 4 sub goals, quarterly goals, that you took in writing down the big goal. So let's say if you're going to launch a 6-figure course, let's say that was our goal. And the very first thing you may choose to do in that first quarter is actually create the course. So you'll have something to sell. If you already know what the course is going to be, you don't need to decide that. Maybe your big goal for the quarter is simply to create the course and get some beta testers in there to give you a feedback. That's a pretty reasonable goal for a quarter, depending on what's going on in your life and how big the course is going to be, to get the course actually created and launched into beta. That's a good quarterly goal, 3 months to go get that done. Maybe you're in a situation in your life where you can do that in a month, or maybe that takes you 6 months to get that done. But you can figure out what 4 steps are to reach your goal in 2022. And if you can't write down the 4 major steps that seem achievable to you, seem reasonable, maybe not easy, maybe a stretch even, but seem possible. If you can't write down 4 major steps that you feel like you could achieve on a quarter by quarter basis, your goal, you may not be right. Maybe your goal was you wanted to launch an 8-figure business by the end of 2022. And when you add up the numbers, you're like, ooh, I'm going to need to hire 500 people to do that. I can't do that in this short period of time. Okay, fine. So that means your goal's wrong, but you should be able, if you've got a good, SMART goal, and remember one of the letters in SMART is achievable. If you've got an achievable goal, you should be able to figure out what are the 4 big milestones that I need to accomplish. And certainly for creating an online course and launching an online course, recording the course and creating it, making it exist is one of those milestones. It has to be. So let's say that's the first quarter milestone. So once you've got that first quarter milestone and it's a SMART goal and you can measure it, you know exactly what it is. You take that first quarter milestone and you break it down again. And you want to break it down, at least the way my mind thinks, I want to break it down into a set of monthly goals. And so I know that if I'm going to create the course and launch it in beta in first quarter, I'm going to need an outline. That's one of the major milestones I'm going to need to hit. I'm going to probably want to record the first module or 2 so I can work out all the technology with the cameras and recording and all of those kind of things and editing. How am I going to do that? Who's going to do it? I need to pipe clean this thing in the first month so I can figure out what's going on. And I probably need to choose a course platform so I can put that module that I created up and make sure all that works. So there's 3 or maybe 4 goals there that I'm going to do in the first month. So here I am in January, I'm going to create my course and I've got 4 goals, 3 or 4 big goals. So what do I need to do that first week? It's the first week of January and I've got this goal way out in December. It's very clear. One of the things I've got to do, the very first thing I've got to do this month is work on an outline. So when I get up that Monday morning and I am trying to figure out, okay, I've got this course. What is it that I need to do? Oh yeah. I look at my goals that I've got. I need an outline because the whole thing hinges on having an outline. And maybe that takes me 2 or 3 or 4 days, but I know exactly what I'm working on that week. In fact, I know exactly what I'm working on that day. When I'm sitting there at the end of the day and I'm trying to decide, should I watch the latest episode of NCIS or should I work on my course? What do I have to do? I have to look at my goals for the month. Where am I? Can I afford to watch NCIS? Maybe I can. Maybe I'm way ahead of schedule. Or do I need to really buckle down and get an extra hour in on that outline because that thing is taking way more time than I thought. You may say, well, Mark, that's obvious, right? Of course, on January 1st, if you're going to build a course, the first thing you need to do is outline the course. Duh. Who doesn't know that? Well, sure. But what about the first week in April? How do you know what to do the first week in April? It turns out in this little example that I'm putting together, my 4 big milestones were to create the course and launch it in beta, market the course in quarter 2 and do the first full launch, and then convert that launch process in third quarter into an evergreen system so that I'm not launching all the time. So if that's my overall milestone plan, I know in the first week of April, I should be working on the goals that I've set around marketing the course so that I can do my first full launch. I need a launch plan. I need some lead magnets. I need an advertising plan probably for those lead magnets and so on. So if I've got that all mapped out, then I can say, okay, it's the first week in April. I'm on schedule or I'm not. And therefore, since I'm on schedule, I know exactly what I need to be working on. I need to build that lead magnet because I'm in marketing mode. The course is in beta. The beta testers are doing great. I'm getting their feedback, but second quarter is for marketing the course. I need to be working on lead magnets that first week in April. So you can see the power of this, because it's not necessarily obvious that just because I want to have a course that is a 6-figure online course that launches, that is making 6 figures at the end of 2022, it's not obvious that the first week in April, I need to be working on a lead magnet. You've got to figure that out, and you figure that out by breaking things down. This is really the thing that I recommend. You take a goal, you break it down into quarterly goals. You break those quarterly goals down into monthly goals. You break those monthly goals down into weekly goals. And that way, every day, you know what you're working on that day, because you're trying to do something very specific in a week. If I told you you had a week to do something, you're like, oh my gosh, I only have a week to do this. I better get started. It's a big enough task. I can get my arms around. I understand it. I can get it done. I know when I'm starting. I know when I'm done. Boom. I go on to the next task the next week. If I tell you, I've got a task for you, you've got a year, you're kind of like, do I need to start on that now? I have no idea. Where do I start? What do I do? And so that's why this methodology is so powerful. So what tools can you use to implement a methodology like this? If you've got this sort of hierarchical way to achieve your goals, how do you do that? The tool that I like to use is a tool like ClickUp. So ClickUp is a project management tool, and it is a tool that helps you organize projects. And really what goals are large projects, and you can take your projects and you can break them down into milestones, and then you can break the milestones down into tasks, and the tasks can be broken down even into subtasks and processes, and you can even assign those tasks to other people and so forth. For example, I've got a virtual assistant that helps me, and even for this podcast, she will help me get this podcast published and promoted. All of that I manage in ClickUp, and you can manage projects like this in ClickUp as well. Super cool tool. Asana is a tool that competes with ClickUp. It is also outstanding. And other tools like Trello, Notion, there are many tools that you can use to organize this kind of thing. You can also use a notepad or a spreadsheet or a tool that you're comfortable with. One of the things that I don't want you to do is I don't want you to go down the rabbit hole of finding the best tool. And I don't want you to go down the rabbit hole of exploring all the intricacies of these project management tools, which can be very complicated. What I want you to do is take your goal and break it down into tiny steps and do a little step every day. After all, how many times have I talked about over the years, the best way to move your business forward is by working on it at least a little bit every day. And the great thing about a system like this, overlaid on top of that kind of work ethic and mindset, is that you know exactly what you need to be working on every day. The tools are there to help you visualize that and keep it organized. And so I like ClickUp for that purpose. Another tool that you can use is Michael Hyatt's full focus planner, which is something that I have used in the past. I'm currently using a blank notebook with a lot of the ideas that I learned from using Michael Hyatt's full focus planner. I'm not a very structured note taker. And I think if you're super structured, the full focus planner is amazing. If you're less structured and less consistent about the way you manage your notes, I think that you might prefer a blank notebook. But either way, I really recommend that at the beginning of every day, as is taught in Michael Hyatt's full focus planner, you decide on the 2 or 3 things that you're absolutely going to get done that day, no matter what. And guess what? Those 2 or 3 things that you're going to do every day, no matter what, that are specific to that day, they depend on the thing that you need to get done for that week. And the thing that you need to get done for that week is something that supports the main goal that you have for that month. And the thing that you're doing for that month supports your quarterly milestone that you set for your goal. And you can do this. One of the questions that I get all the time is, but Mark, I have more than one goal. And that's fine. You can run multiple goals concurrently. You just manage them all exactly the same way. You break them down. And so you may have tasks in a certain week that apply to 2 or 3 or 4 different goals. I have heard of people doing as many as 10. I think Michael Hyatt says, and I can't remember exactly, but I think he says that the magic number is somewhere around 7, that when people get more than that many goals going concurrently, they have trouble. I can't work that high on a large goal. If I've got a large goal, something like launching a big course or building a new piece of the business, I really need to keep my goals modest, maybe 2 or 3 total goals. And I'll have actually just one main business goal for 2022 this year. It's going to have a bunch of small parts. So it's really an umbrella goal, but it's just one goal. And I'm managing that. And I'm managing it exactly in the way that I described to you here. So that is exactly the way that I recommend that you manage your 2022 goals. You specify them very clearly. You articulate quarterly milestones, and you break those milestones down to where you know what to work on each and every day, and you commit to going and doing that work that day. I hope that's helpful for you. I would love to hear from you and hear how it is that you manage your goals, the tools that you use, the things that you like to do around goals. I'm always interested in learning these things, and I'd love to give you a shout out on this show. So be sure to send me some email at feedback@latenightim.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to mention your feedback on the show. And I would double love it if you would take the time to find the like button in whatever podcast listening tool you're using right now and rate the podcast if that's an option for you. That helps the show get out to more and more people. And that the more people I get to, the more people I can help. And that's my goal here. And I'd really appreciate that help from you. So thank you so much for listening. We'll be right back here next week. We'll be talking about more online business stuff that's going to help you start, grow, and run your online business. I hope you're having an amazing holiday start to the holiday season. And until next week, ciao.
You can do it right when it's late at night.
You've been listening to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
Be sure to visit LNIMpodcast.com today to leave feedback for Mark. Download special bonus content, access the show notes, and more. See you there.
Until then, go and make some great progress on your internet business, one night at a time.
Building your business one night at a time.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yeah, I know. No singing. I get it. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's looking a lot like Christmas around here. I always talk about my son, the baseball player. I also have a younger daughter, and she is at an age, she's 12, where she has a very definite opinion about things like decorating for Christmas. And so we spent the weekend, as is our tradition, at the little studio in Dallas, Texas, of decorating the house. And we have an inside process and an outside process. She manages both processes now at the ripe old age of 12. And so she was out there actually busting it, working pretty hard, decorating and putting lights down. We have lights on the house, lights in the yard. I'll try to put a picture in the show notes. We do Christmas lights. That's our thing. So now we don't do them the way some wild people, like a fan of the show and friend of mine, Danny Mullins. He's a serious Christmas lights guy. His are all computer controlled, and he does his light layouts in a piece of CAD software. I mean, this guy off the chain, over the top with Christmas lights. We're just more simple, like put colored lights on the house kind of Christmas lights, but we've got a lot of lights and we do that. And she dictates which colors go where and all that kind of thing. And then once we're done on the inside of the outside of the house, she turns her attention to the inside of the house. We have 42 billion nutcrackers and a bunch of Santas, and they're all over the house. And so a lot of work this weekend to get that done. That was my weekend. And that's what Christmas is here in the little studio in Dallas. At least that's the very tiny beginning. As soon as the last person leaves from Thanksgiving, all the fall decorations go away. This year we were able to donate the pumpkins to some friends of ours that have chickens. The chickens are eating the pumpkins right now. In the meantime, we've moved on to Christmas. I've got the lights on. Things are good here. So we're fired up for the holidays, and I hope you're similarly excited about whatever this time of the year means for you, because it's a great time here in Dallas, Texas. Ciao.
Late night internet marketing.
Hey, it's Mark again. I wanted to tell you one more time about this absolutely free resource that I have for helping people who are trying to get the big picture for internet marketing, actually get started and understand what all their choices are. If that's not you, there's no more content. You can skip to the end. But if you're someone who came to this podcast because you're searching for how to get started online and you just can't cut through all the noise, I get it. That was me in 2007 when I was trying to get started. There were so many people throwing offers at me that I really couldn't even understand what all the different business models were. I couldn't understand how money moved around on the internet. And I couldn't really get a grip on what direction I wanted to go in so I could figure out how to move forward. I've created a free video resource for you just for that purpose at latenightim.com/explain. In several short videos, I just explained to you what internet marketing is all about and what online business is all about and the different options that you have for starting an online business. There's nothing to buy there. You just sign up for access and you get the videos just like that. So if that's interesting to you, or if you know someone who's in a same situation, send them that link, latenightim.com/explain. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what people are thinking that are in the exact same position that I was in more than a decade ago in 2007. In some ways, it seems like yesterday. And in some ways, it seems like an entire lifetime ago. Again, that's latenightim.com/explain.
Late night internet marketing.